You probably know that some books contain what's called an appendix at the end, which contains important information that's just not needed in the main text. It's named after the Latin word appendere, which means to hang on to. So the appendix literally hangs on to the end of the book. Now, the other appendix that I'm sure you know is the one in the human body, and its proper name is the vermiform appendix, meaning literally worm-like hanger-on, which sounds a bit creepy, but it actually describes it very well, because the human appendix is a small, wiggly, worm-like tubular structure about the size of your pinky that's stuck deep inside the abdomen on the right side. And the first most of us know about our appendix is when it gets infected and we develop appendicitis. Classical appendicitis starts with a kind of vague central tummy pain, which rapidly gets worse, moves to the right side, and then is associated with nausea, vomiting, and often fever. And if it's left untreated, appendicitis can lead to rupture. So when we diagnose it, we normally recommend surgery right away. The commonest time when people get appendicitis is between the ages of about 10 and 30, but the lifetime risk is actually surprisingly high, with about 1 in 12 of us developing it at some time in our lives. And that's why some people who are going to be a long way from medical help are recommended sometimes to have what's called a prophylactic appendicectomy, or appendectomy, as the Americans call it. Think astronauts who are going to be in space a long time and some polar explorers. In fact, there's a town in Antarctica that's so remote, Via las Estrellas, town of the stars, that before you're allowed to live there, you have to have that little wormy thing removed. Now, it wasn't a big deal for Russian GP Leonid Rogozov. He was the only medic on a 1961 Soviet expedition to Antarctica when he developed, yes, you guessed it, appendicitis. Now, Leonid had had a little bit of surgical training, so he took the only option available. Squirt of local anaesthetic, a mate holding a mirror, and he whipped out his own appendix. Stitches out a week later, back to work soon after, no problem. When I was a medical student, I was taught that the appendix was a redundant organ, so it didn't matter taking it out. And while it's true that people are mostly fine, we now know that the appendix plays an important role in our immune defences, and it also may act as a reservoir of healthy bacteria to help top up our precious gut microbiome. So it turns out that while our human appendix may not be essential, it is important after all. Hang on, just like the appendix to a book.